Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to decode the whole world of grains and starches. Get ready, because you're about to become a smarter shopper and, yeah, a much more confident cook. Oh, we've all been there, right? You're just trying to buy some bread and you're faced with what feels like 100 choices. What do multigrain and whole wheat really mean? It's way more confusing than it should be. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the basics, breaking down the grain itself. Then we'll take that knowledge to the store and into the kitchen. And after that, we get into the really cool part, the science of what's actually happening in your pan. To really understand why pretty much every health guide out there is telling you to eat whole grains, we've got to go microscopic. We need to look at the anatomy of a single grain kernel. It really does all start right here. So every single grain has these three parts. You've got the bran, which is the fibrous outer layer, then there's the germ, packed with nutrients, and finally, the endosperm, which is mostly starch. Whether these parts are there or not is the whole secret to telling if a grain is whole or refined. And here's the bottom line. Whole grains, they give you the entire package. You're getting the fiber from the bran, all those vitamins and healthy oils from the germ, plus the energy from the endosperm. But refined grains, well, they've been stripped down, leaving you with pretty much just the starch. Okay, so let's take this newfound knowledge and head to the supermarket. We're about to turn you into a label-reading detective. Knowing the difference is your first tool, now let's actually put it to use. Think of this as your secret decoder ring. In Canada, the Food Inspection Agency has super clear rules, so if you see high source of fiber on a package, you know for a fact it's got at least 4 grams per serving. It's a fantastic shortcut to finding foods that are actually rich in fiber. But, the numbers on the label don't always tell the whole story. Some companies use a few tricks. They might add things like inulin, a powdered fiber, just to pump up that fiber number, but it doesn't give you the same benefits. And please, don't be fooled by color. That dark brown bread might just be plain old white bread with a little molasses for coloring. And this is where the marketing can get super misleading. Multigrain just means there's more than one grain in there. They could all be refined. And believe it or not, even 100% whole wheat can be tricky because the germ is often removed. Honestly, your best bet is to just ignore the front of the package, flip it over, and read the ingredients list. You want to look for phrases like whole grain whole wheat flour, including the germ, or integral flour. That's the good stuff. Okay, so you've successfully navigated the grocery store, you've brought the good grains home. Now let's talk about getting the most out of them, from how you store them to how you get that perfect cook every time. Storage is absolutely key, especially for whole grains. Remember that nutrient-rich germ we talked about? Well, it has oils in it that can actually go bad at room temperature, which gives your flour a really off taste. So, stick your whole grain flours in the fridge or freezer. They'll stay fresh for up to a year. When it comes to making rice, you've got a ton of options. A rice cooker is totally foolproof. You can do the classic stovetop method or even bake it in the oven. But hey, if you really want to level up the flavor, you have to try the pilaf method. You basically toast the rice in a little oil first, which gives you these amazing, separate, flavorful grains.
Okay, so cooking rice and pasta could not be more different. It's Kitchen Science 101. For rice, you need a very precise amount of water, a tight lid, and whatever you do, don't stir it. Stirring releases starch and makes it all gummy. Pasta is the complete opposite. It needs a huge pot of boiling water, no lid, and you have to stir it often to keep it from clumping together.
So why? Why do we need these totally opposite techniques? Well, the answer is hidden deep inside the brains themselves. It all comes down to the fascinating science of starch. Starch is the real hero here. It's just how plants store their energy. And it's made up of 2 key molecules, these long, straight chains called amylose, and these big, bushy, branched chains called amylopectin. The ratio between those 2 molecules determines literally everything about how a starch is going to behave when you cook it. Now, this next word is the most important one to remember: gelatinization. It sounds fancy, but it's just what happens when starch meets hot water. The little starch granules soak up that liquid, they swell up like tiny water balloons, and that's what thickens the whole mixture. It's the magic behind every good gravy, sauce, or pudding. It's a really simple but precise process. First, you add heat. That lets the granules absorb water and start to swell. That's what makes the liquid thicken up. Then, as it all cools down, other molecules link together and form a stable gel. And that's it. You've just turned a watery liquid into a silky sauce. But, and this is a big but, you have to be careful because you can totally mess this process up. Acid, like lemon juice, can break down the starch, so always add it at the very end. Sugar and fat can get in the way and slow things down. And if you cook it for too long, those swollen granules will literally burst, releasing all their water and thinning your sauce right back out again. See, once you understand the science, starch is no longer just an ingredient. It becomes this powerful, predictable tool in your kitchen. Now let's talk about choosing the right one for the job. This just goes to show how different starches can be. I mean, look at this. To thicken the same amount of liquid, you need 2 tablespoons of flour, but only 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. And potato starch, it's even more powerful. You only need 1.5 teaspoons. Knowing this is the key to getting that perfect texture every single time. Okay, one last transformation we have to talk about. Dextrinization. This is what happens when you toast flour in a dry pan to make a dark roux, maybe for a gumbo. The heat actually breaks the starch down into smaller, sweeter molecules. It creates this incredible nutty, roasted flavor. But just be aware, it also reduces the starch's thickening power, so you'll have to use a little more. And there you have it. From the biology of a single little kernel to the chemistry happening in your saucepan, you now have the secrets to mastering the world of greens and starches. The only question is, what are you going to master first?